Season 16 has just arrived, so that means you guys are going to need some new upgraded settings to absolutely dominate the competition with. Now, I will warn you, this video will be very in-depth, so if you're not into that stuff, get the heck out of here. No, I'm just kidding though. But if you're absolutely brand new to Apex Legends, you're going to be greeted with 5 settings tabs, which include gameplay. You're going to have a mouse and keyboard tab. This is going to be only on PC, and everybody else is going to have a controller tab, video, and then an audio tab. Now, we're going to start with the gameplay tab right after you guys do 2 things for me if you would. First, I want you to comment what part of your game is currently lacking: movement, aim, decision making, whatever it may be. And then secondly, I want you guys to slam that like button and the subscribe button with your big toe just to make things a little bit interesting. All right, on to the gameplay tab, everybody. Let's get serious here. 97.8% of the settings under this tab are going to be purely preference, which means these will not make or break your gameplay no matter what they are set to. So the first setting we got to go over is interact prompt style. This is going to just display less information about weapons and items on the ground if you set it to compact, and then it's going to display more information if you have it set to default. So basically, if you are a newer Apex player, put this on default. If you're a more experienced player, compact is the way to go because it's just going to be less screen clutter. Button hints is the next setting. This is going to display what buttons you should be pressing to perform certain actions, such as using your ultimate ability, or what to press to pull out your heat shield and so forth. If you turn this option off, it's not going to give you any indication of what buttons to press, so just make sure you're aware of that before doing so. Crosshair damage feedback is going to provide you 3 options to select from: off, X, or X with shield icon. Now, my preference is to set this to off because I find it puts less visual clutter on your screen when hitting enemies. Some people are going to argue that having it on X or X with shield icon gives you more assisted aim, but I personally have not found that true myself. Damage numbers, I would highly recommend having this setting on stacking. Stacking is the cleanest option out of the 4 that they give you. If you turn damage numbers completely off, you are not going to be able to know exactly how much damage you are doing to enemies, which will in turn affect your callouts to teammates negatively. Stacking, however, adds up the numbers for you, which makes it very easy to call out the damage that you're dealing. Floating ends up making you add the numbers up for yourself, which makes no sense to me at all. I don't know why anybody would have that option on. So let's say if you do 60 total damage to an enemy, it would appear on screen something like 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. And the both option provides you with stacking and floating details on screen. You don't need both. Just make your life easier and less cluttered. Just choose stacking. Now, ping opacity, I would just keep on faded because there are certain niche moments in your gameplay where enemy might ping an item on the ground and you're going to be fighting an enemy in the same exact path as that ping. So the faded option is going to allow you to see somewhat through that ping, whereas the default option, it would get confusing and right in your line of sight, it would be very hard to see the actual enemy that you're shooting at. Obituaries, I just leave on so I can see who I kill. Not much more to explain really in regards to that setting. Minimap rotation, I have always kept off in the past. I like it to just stay facing one direction instead of rotating around as I move. Weapon auto cycle on empty, I'm going to keep that set to off. If you are a newer player though, I would keep that on just in case you're not looking at the bullets remaining in your weapon at all times like a more experienced player would be. Auto sprint, I would recommend having on at all times just so it's less wear and tear on your controller or even your keyboard. Double tap to sprint, I have never actually turned on, and I've never heard of it giving any competitive advantage, so I just keep that set to off. Jetpack control is only going to apply to Valk players, so it's a pretty niche setting here, but if you have a controller with paddles, I would recommend changing this setting to hold. What this will do is make it so you don't have to keep pressing the flying button. Instead, you would just hold it down once until you're ready to fall and then simply let go of it. If you don't have paddles, toggle is probably the way to go on this one. Incoming damage feedback is set to 3D. I have never changed that in the past. Taking damage closes death box or crafting menu. We're gonna have to keep that off. This is essential to have this off if you are looking to shield swap in somebody's box, which is a huge part of Apex Legends. As you become more experienced in the game, you're going to want to shield swap a lot more and faster as time goes on. So you're going to want to keep this set to off. Hop up, pop up just basically tells you what each hop up does. I'm gonna keep that on. I've always had that on. I've never changed that setting myself. Streamer mode for me is set to off. If you turn this setting to all, it will actually make it so every person in the lobby has a name like Bloodhound 2734 or Seer 3589. So if you don't want to know anybody's name in the lobby, you can turn that to all. Anonymous mode for me is off right now. If you're too famous and don't want to be seen in the kill feed, maybe you're getting hunted by players, whatever, then you can turn this on. Usage sharing I have enabled right now. Performance display I got enabled right now. This will just show you if your frames are dropping and if you're experiencing any sort of network issues. This is going to be shown in the top right hand corner of your screen. Club invites enabled for me. If you are getting too many club invites, just turn that option off, or if you don't want to deal with anybody, turn that option off. Communication filter for me is set to everybody. Of course, for the content, I'm a YouTuber, I need the communication with the teammates, but you can always turn this off if you don't want to deal with anyone in your lobbies. And you can also change this to friends only or nobody, depending on the day you're having. If you're having a bad day, you know, turn that sucker to nobody and just vibe out, play the game. Reticle and laser sight settings I have customized, but that doesn't really make a huge difference either way. I'm going to give you the settings if you want to copy mine exactly. Current laser sight settings are 0, 202, and 71. Now, colorblind mode is off for me. If you're colorblind or like certain color options better than others, you can, you know, mess around with the different options on this setting and choose which one you like better. Subtitles I have set to off. Subtitle size doesn't matter because, like I said, I have it off, so I just kept it on normal. Enable chat features I have set to off. Voice to chat text I have off. Play incoming text chat as speech I also have off. Now, the mouse and keyboard tab is not going to be covered today because, like I said earlier, and by the title of this video, I am on controller, so I apologize if you click for that. You're gonna have to find another video. Now, on to the part that everybody loves, the controller tab. All right, the button layout for me, I have recently just changed to customize for a very unique reason. So my current controller is fairly old, to say the least, and even the slightest breath of air onto that right stick has caused me to punch a lot in the past. If you've been watching the videos recently, you know exactly what I mean. So changing the melee button to RB will now ensure that I never accidentally punch during a fight again, because it gets you killed way too many times. I just switched my ping button over to the right stick. Shouldn't be a problem if I'm pinging during a fight rather than actually punching. Stick layout for me has always been on default. I really can't grasp how some of you guys play on inverted or southpaw legacy upside down mode. Respect, honestly. If you play on those, you have my respect. Let's just say that. Interact reload I'd set to tap to use and reload, so you don't have to hold down your button for the entire length of the reload. The only problem with this setting is that if you try to res somebody near a door, there's like a 98% chance that you're going to accidentally open the door in front of you, you know, have to stop the res, go close it. But still, I think tap is the best option here. Crouch, I love having this setting on hold because my Elite Series 2 controller or with scuff controllers, crouch spamming is insanely useful, especially against mouse and keyboard players who, you know, are flinging around streamer building off the walls or zip lines. Just gives controller players a little bit of a chance in those situations. And if you don't have paddles, it's going to be very difficult to get used to having this on hold, so I'd probably keep that on toggle. Aim button for me is set to hold for sure. I've never turned this off of hold in my entire life. Survival slot I have on, which makes it very easy to access your heat shields and mobile beacons. Trigger dead zone should be set to none. This is a very important setting on this page for me personally, because if I hit my shoot button, it fires immediately, whereas if you had this set to default, moderate, high, or max, there's going to be a slight delay from when you actually press your shoot button to when it actually fires your weapon. Menu cursor speed will take some getting used to. As time goes on, you can raise it slightly, but just make sure you have it set to a speed where you can loot fast in death boxes and shield swap almost instantly. Now, my actual movement and aim settings require advanced look controls to be enabled at the bottom of this controller screen right now, so we're gonna have to get to that very shortly. But in the meantime, movement dead zone is set to small. If you have some crappy old controller that has stick drift, you might need to change this to large to prevent, like I said, any stick drift. Or if you decide to use the linear response curve option, you will probably need to turn this on large. Inverted look I have set to off. off, vibration off, and now we are on to the ALC settings. But before we do that, guys, I know you're going to be pulling some all-nighters in Season 16. Either it's playing ranked on 3 different maps, playing the new mixtape mode. Head over to glitchenergy.com, use code SWEAT at checkout to get 20% off any of the items, including my own Dragon Sweat flavor. I know you guys will like it. glitchenergy.com, I'll see you over there. Turn on your custom look controls at the top of this screen, and you will be shown a bunch of confusing settings in front of you once you do so. If this is your first time looking at this page, don't worry, I'm going to explain each of them here. So first off, we got the dead zone, which is basically how much you need to move your right stick before it actually registers in the game. Moving this higher is going to delay it more, and then moving it lower is going to make it more sensitive. Mine is currently set to 9%. Outer threshold is at 1% for me. This means that if I move my stick all the way to the left, it's going to turn as fast as possible. If you have this setting set to max, which is about 31%, I believe, all you need to do to move maximum speed is move your analog stick past the orange line shown on the screen right now. I know this setting is very confusing, but I have never put this setting past 2%, and I don't recommend you do so either. Response curve is at 10 for me because I like a classic response curve type of feel. If you're more interested in trying out linear, then I would try out some lower numbers and see how it feels for you personally. As we head into the per optic settings right here, you're going to see that there's options for the 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, and 10 times. 1 times we have 1.0, 2 times optic is going to be 1.2, 3 times optic 1.6, 1.6 for the 4 times, 1.6 for the 6 times, and then 1.8 for the 8 and 10 times, which I rarely ever use in my entire gaming experience. Yaw speed is how fast you move left and right without aiming down sights. Mine is at 351. Pitch speed is how fast you move up and down without aiming down sights. Mine is at 321. Turning extra yaw will give you a boost when your stick is moving either left or right maximum distance. Mine's gonna be at 80. And then turning extra pitch will give you the boost up or down without aiming down sights. Mine is currently at 0. Ramp up time at 0. Ramp up delay is also at 0. Now my ADS yaw speed is set to 165, which is how fast you move left and right when you ADS. ADS pitch speed is set to 149, which is how fast you move up and down when you're ADS. ADS turning extra yaw is set to 49, which is going to give you that boost when your stick is moving either left or right maximum distance when aimed down sights. And then ADS turning extra pitch 0, ADS turning ramp up 0, ADS turning ramp up delay 0. So the target compensation here, which is otherwise known as your aim assist, should always be set to default. If you're on console, definitely would not recommend changing this to the PC setting because it will give you weaker aim assist than the rest of your competition. If you guys didn't know this already, console has 0.6 aim assist while PC players have 0.4 aim assist. So obviously don't give yourself a disadvantage for no reason when everybody else is going to have it set to 0.6. Now moving quickly onto the video tab, I'm going to have a lot more options than console players, but I will tell you which settings to change if you are on console. First setting that we're going to see here is the display mode. I personally have this on full screen. This is a PC only setting. Another PC only setting is going to be aspect ratio, which is on 16:9 native. Resolution should be only PC, I believe, as well, 1920 by 1080. And then here are some console settings that you guys can change. My brightness is at 62% right now. Now field of view is going to be a very important setting to change if you're brand new to the game. It's defaulted at 70 when you first load up, which means you are very limited to seeing only a certain amount of your surroundings. Mine is currently set to 110, but anything above 90 I would say is pretty good and should give you a nice zoomed out angle. FOV ability scaling, this should be disabled. This is going to really only matter if you play Bloodhound or Octane, as their abilities will scale in and out when you use them. Keeping this on disabled is actually not going to change your FOV when using these abilities, which is exactly what we want in this situation. Sprint view shake, we have this on minimal. We really don't need our screen shaking for no reason now, do we? And then onto these advanced settings are going to be all PC only. I'm not going to go over these too in depth. If you want to take a screenshot, then you can, and you can rotate it into your own gameplay. But I found that putting these settings close to low on all of them is going to give you a better FPS ratio and better performance on your PC. You don't want to kill your PC quickly by putting these settings to maximum. And last but not least, we're going to move on to the audio tab, which is a lot of preference. Master volume I have on 80%. Console players, you are not going to see these first 2 or 3 options, I believe, but broadcast stream mix for my voice chat input device. Voice chat record mode is on push to talk right now, but you can put that on open mic if you're playing ranked or whatnot. Open mic record threshold is on 9107 for me. Incoming voice chat volume is on 100%. Sound effects volume on 100. Dialogue volume on 100. Music volume I have on 0. Don't really care about that. And then lobby music volume, I don't care about that either. Sound in the background I also have set to off. So that's gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. If you did, drop a like on this video like I said earlier, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It's been Sweat. Hope you have a great season 16. I'll catch you later.